Alright, guys. This is William from YouTube. And today's episode is entitled Godfather 2. Advice from friends and family. Now, some of these advices came from the Godfather. Some of his friends, while they were there, while we were talking, also threw in their 2 cents. And also family members when I come over to their parties. While the Godfather is discussing business and family life, he's also throwing a few things that I've jotted down for more advice for you guys. Now, obviously, I did put respect in his name, and he was pleased with Godfather 1. That's why I'm still here presently to do Godfather 2. I have not been whacked. So, I am going to do number 2 now in the same fashion. We're going to start off with the first advice. His first advice is protect your assets. Now, when doing business, make sure that you are protecting yourself. Now, for real estate, for example, we have home insurance. That's one layer of protection. Another layer of protection is that each property that we buy, we do not buy in our own names. We buy it each separately as an LLC because it becomes its own entity. And then the management group that actually collects the rent and holds the finances is also its own corporation. So, we wanted to make sure that we have several layers of corporations protecting your company. Because suppose somebody slip and fall on a banana peel, as he always used an example in America, lawyers over there work pro bono. So now when they're ready to sue, they will see that the business that you have is controlled by several businesses. So if he wants to sue the management company that, collects all the rent money, then he's only suing for the business that has money in their account, because that corporation that collects the rent is a management group and does not own any of the properties that it collects rent for. Now, each of the property is its own LLC. So if they slip and fell at building A, it is not like Pokemon where they can catch them all and sue for one corporation and then get all the other properties under that corporation. No, each of those buildings is its own LLC. So if you slip on building A, you can only sue building A, or you can sue the management group. Either way, it stops right there. So all the other 9 properties on a different LLC for each one are its own separate corporation. But yet there's a corporation that collects all the rent for all 10. So you see the layers you have there. You have about 10 layers in your business. And it only costs a few $100s to create each LLCs. So you see, it's like an onion. Every time you peel it, you start crying. Just like those lawyers. Every time they start peeling back on the corporation, they see that there's so many layers to this corporation. And you do it this way to protect your assets. And also, you also protect your assets by wearing condoms. Because he likes to joke around sometimes by saying, William, I hope you're wearing condoms with those girls, because I've seen those gorillas you've been out with. So make sure that you're wearing those condoms, because you don't want babies with none of those kids. Unless you really want, to be with that girl, then yes. But some of those gorillas I've seen you with, William, I hope you're wearing condoms. So yes, Godfather, I am. Thank you. Thanks for looking out for me. Another is when I asked the Godfather about going to an auto auction to buy cars, and he said, William, a lot of guys are doing auto auctions. You'll never get the best cars. There's people that have been in the business for decades, and you're going to be a small fry. You won't know what to pick, and there's so many competition. So I still bothered him about, I really want to get into auto auction. I really want to get it. So he said, okay, let me send you to my mechanic Enzo, and he'll tell you how it goes. So he sends me to the mechanic, and and then I go and find about the auctioneer, Copart. I go to Copart, and he tells me about the auctioneer. So I go there and I go to Copart, and I met with one of the auctioneers, this Nigerian guy, I think, or a guy from Congo. And I asked him, how do I make money from buying and selling, accident cars? And he said, we have a proverb in Nigeria, and it says that if you want to swallow a frog, you swallow a big frog. Now, I think that guy got the translation messed up, because that right there doesn't make any sense. Swallow a big frog. What does that have to do with cars? Well, loosely translated, when I started asking him a lot of questions, what he really meant is that the only way you make business in these auto auctions is that you have to buy the most expensive cars on the lot, because they're the ones that return the most value. Stop wasting your time with a lot of these these lower level cars, because those cars are really for people that have dealerships that can house over 100 cars. But somebody like you, a private buyer, should really buy the most expensive cars on the lot to resell, because I'm sure your driveway can only hold 5. There's no way you'll be able to drive more than 5, because if you have sold more than 10 cars, then you need a business license, a dealer license, or you could be fined if you don't have a dealer's license if you're trying to sell more than 10. So because you only get 10 per year, you really should focus on 10 expensive cars. Remember, big frog, big frog. If you want to swallow a big frog, you see, if you want to swallow a frog, you have to swallow a big frog. The next advice he gives me is build your dream team. Your accountant will keep you out of trouble. Your lawyer will get you out of trouble. Your contractor will make sure you are not in trouble. And when you are in trouble, you can whip on your manager. So make sure you build your dream team, whatever problem that you are in or keeping out of. Another advice he would always say, or an expression he would tell people if he did not want to give a direct answer right away is, sorry, I gotta ask my wife. No, I don't make all the decisions. I gotta go and ask my business partner. Let me think about it. It's so that he buys himself time, because he's not certain that the business is really gonna be lucrative for him. You see, the Godfather, for him to wake out of bed, for him to really be excited over business, there has to be double-digit return. He is not waking out of bed if the business is not making double-digit returns. So please do not call the Godfather unless you have an idea, a business that is lucrative. I asked him about the stock market, and he's not really too excited about the stock markets. He always complained about his next door neighbor who got in the stock market, and then when they had that recession in 2011, it took him 4 or 5 years to get his money back. And the stock market, the best of us only make 8 to 10%. So really, I asked him about the stock market, he just rolled over in bed and said, please don't bother me with that. He only does the stock market unless he's forced to, like RESP, RRSP, tax-free savings account for Canadians. For the Americans, the equivalent would be, the Roth IRA, those things. That would be the equivalent for Americans. The next advice he gave me is to make sure, William, that I wash my car. Now, there was one time I picked up the Godfather to take him to the mechanic because his car broke down. And, I pulled up in the office, he jumps into my car, he said, oh my God, William, your car is all messy. And I told him, I did pick up cement and drywall. Oh my God, man, it's always messy. Anyways, take me to the mechanic, because this is getting crazy. So I take him to the mechanic and he gets his car fixed. A month later, the Godfather gives me a call. He says, you know what, William? You need a better car. Let me get you another car. Here, take my car, better yet. So I took his car and I was surprised. I was like, wow, the Godfather, just give me the car. Well, not really. He never gives it to me. I still had to pay the Godfather for this car. But, I wasn't an arm and a leg. But, I had my gratitude. Thank you for giving me this car. Now I got a car to do my business, to pick up drywall and cement and let it be as dusty, musty, crusty as I can. And then I have another car for cruising on a Sunday afternoon. Cruising on a Sunday afternoon. That's the car. This is the SUV, top of the line with a leather seat, with a heated seat. This is the one I pick up the girls in. This is the car I do carpooling with for my coworkers. One I like to ride in style with, thanks to the Godfather. Thank you. And then the next advice from the Godfather is, William, I know you're going to tell somebody, because, you're a blabbermouth. But don't tell so-and-so. Don't tell Marco. Don't tell Paulo. Don't tell Mario. Or, if you tell them about this new business idea, we're going to have half of Toronto fighting against us. So he was trying to tell me that, William, sometimes in business, you can't even tell your own friends what you're doing, because if you tell them, they are going to compete against you. That's when the fangs come out, because even friends will turn their back on you just to get a better deal. So, just to play safe, William, make sure you don't tell so-and-so. The next advice he gave me, the Godfather, was, if you're going to buy a Lamborghini, William, make sure you buy me a Lamborghini. And the reason why he told me this is because the cost of owning a Lamborghini is going to cost you another Lamborghini. The maintenance, the insurance, the repair. Just to fix that door that flips up, he told me it cost his friend $2,000 to get those doors that go up and down repaired. So he said, really, William, just stick to the SUV. That's enough style for most people. And then he told me, William, you being black, you come to my area, Woodbridge, police are going to be stopping you all day long. And then when you go to the hood in your area, thugs are going to be waiting for you. You got a target on your back wherever you go. So really, it's not a good idea that you buy yourself a Lamborghini. And then the next advice he gave me is, make sure that the first week of the month that you pay all your utilities, you pay all your bills, you take care of all of your credit cards, because I know you, William. If you do not do all these things, you are going to be spending all your money like a drunken sailor at a whorehouse at the strip club with sundowners. So make sure before you go to sundowners the second week that you make sure you pay all of these obligations. And then the next advice he wanted to give me is, make sure, William, that when you buy your car, that you buy it cash. Don't take all those other bells and whistles. Make sure you just go in there cash and you get a good deal. And if he's not going to give you a deal, push back. Or let me see your manager. Don't be afraid to be a Karen. Because when you have cash, and you put it on the table in front of them, or you open up the briefcase, you get a much better price. And you don't have to pay all the interest and surcharges and all that other ridiculous stuff. You see, it's going to cost you more to be poor than to be rich. So you will see people's reactions are different when you show them the money. And then another advice he would like to give me is, this is a one-liner that came from the Motley Crue. He likes to say a lot. Girl, don't go away mad. Girl, just go away. And the reason why you want to pay a girl off to just go away so you don't complain about you then you won't have any problems, like a gag order. Or, for example, in our real estate business, sometimes you just want to get rid of that bad tenant. You just have to pay them off so they can leave, so that they do not affect the other tenants in your property. Because you see, 5 oranges on a platter will age at the same time for 2 to 3 weeks, and then they become spoiled. But if you have those same 5 oranges in that platter and you put one bad orange in that platter, you will see that those oranges, they will go bad in several days instead of several weeks. So you see, you don't want one bad apple to spoil the rest of the apples. So that's why he said sometimes you just gotta pay people off so that they're quiet and they just go away. They may go away mad, but then they go away quietly. And then the last advice he gave me is, William, as the man, when you are 35 and over,